Hello fellow vapors, this is Vape Hound again. This is my second video. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that checked out my first video, and if you haven't seen it yet, check out the link in the description. Make any comments or anything that you'd like. It was my first one, so be nice. This time around I'm going to go a little bit different route and do a review on a product that I picked up last week. I was at Clouds of Vapor shopping for some, on their site shopping for some supplies, addies, different things like that, and I went ahead and picked up a MAP Dual Coil Tank, or DCT. These are available at cloudsofvapor.com and also through MAP at his website, MostAngryIndustries.com. Basically, it's a 3 mil tank that handles a dual coil cartomizer, and you fill it with your favorite juice for basically extended vaping without refilling. The juice that I have in here right now is Bounty Hunter from NightlightVapor.com at 24 milligrams and 70, let's see here, 6535 PGVG. I like the big bottles. So when we're looking at this, first off, why did I get a tank? That's, question, do I need it? Do you need a tank? Do you not need a tank? For me, with my job, I'm on the road a lot. So, as an admissions nurse, I'm going back and forth between hospitals. Sometimes can be 40, 50 miles between hospitals, so I'm on the road a lot. About a week and a half ago, I think it was, I was driving and dripping into an addy like I know we've all done. I guess I was really into the dripping, because when I looked up, I was crossing the center line, and basically it scared the shit out of me. At that point, I figured I couldn't drip and drive anymore. I couldn't take the chance, couldn't risk it. So the next week, basically, I didn't vape while I was on the road, except for, I'd fill my atomizer up before I left somewhere, and when it was gone, it was gone. So the next 30 minutes of driving may be vape-free, which for me in a car is not a good idea. So basically, I needed an alternative. I'd been looking at tanks for a while, tanks and feeder mods, but never really thought that I had a need until that time. I liked the idea of both, but was kind of partial to the feeder mods. I just never liked the taste of a carto. I always got kind of the filler taste, and it wasn't really for me. The fact that I'd just gotten the ProVeri, though, a few weeks earlier, didn't really think my wife would appreciate me spending money on a Rio or a D-Cup or something like that, unless it was for her. So I didn't think it was time to get a new mod. That's the reason behind me getting this. Now, about the tank itself, the Black Delrin DC tank is $24.30 at cloudsofvapor.com, which is a 10% off the regular price of $27. I don't know how long that's going to last. If it's going to be a standard reduction, I'm not really sure. Like I said, it does use a dual coil cartomizer, with each coil having an approximate ohm rating of 3 ohms. With both of them combined, it gives the cartomizer, or the tank and cartomizer, everything, a rating of 1.5 ohms. Seems to be accurate. My ProVeri reads out that it's a 1.5, and my ProVeri doesn't lie, so I know it's true. When I got this, Big Buyer Bruce sent me one hand-punched dual coil cartomizer, which is what is in here right now. He also sent me a 5-pack of the Smoke Tech pre-punched, factory-punched cartos. Dual coil cartos. I haven't used one of these yet. I haven't had a need to. They're a little bit different than your standard dual coil cartomizer. When you look at this, try to get it to focus there, you'll see that it only has that one teeny tiny hole there, which to me, I don't know if that's going to be enough to soak the filler inside of it would be a big enough hole to wick inside of there. They say that it works, but, if not, then all I need to do is punch a few extra holes. It's easy to do. There's videos on YouTube about how to do it. One of the other things that you'll notice about this cartomizer is it has this flange at the end, which is fantastic. Basically, what that'll do is it'll allow you with the tank, when you place, after you fill it or whatever, and you push the tank back down, that tank's going to stop right there on that flange. It's going to make sure that it doesn't go too far down. Maybe your connector on your mod sticks up a little bit. It'll make sure that you don't go too far down. So, that's a neat concept, and once I need to use one of these, we'll see if it works in practice as well. you're going to take the drip tip off, set it off to the side. Now, I do this while it's still attached to the mod. Some people look at it and say, why would you do that? You're going to get juice all over your mod. I haven't yet. So basically, you're going to take it and you're going to push it up. You're going to leave it attached. You're going to push it up. So I pushed it up like that. And inside of there, you're going to push it up until you see the top of the cardo in there. Okay? So you see the top of the cardo. Okay? And I'll bring it a little further so you can see that. Now, basically, all you have to do at this point in time is I don't want it all the way up that far, so bring it back down just a little bit. Basically, you can just push the tank off to the side, and you can see how that pushes the cardo out of the way. You're going to take your juice, tilt this just a little bit, and drip right down the edge there. You're going to fill it up as high as you can. What I'll do is I'll kind of push it up a little bit more, tilt it, and try to do just try to get as full as possible. Then basically just kind of push down on that cap like that, and basically hear that little snap. It snapped it right into place. At that point in time, you're ready to vape. I mean, no issues at all with that. The next question is, how does it work? First, I was extremely skeptical because I've never liked cardos. After filling it the first time and putting some fluid in the cardo, I did set it aside for about a half hour. Somebody told me to do that, so that's what I did. When I did pick it up to get ready to vape, I did go ahead and draw it on a couple times just to kind of help start, get that wicking going through those holes. You'll notice when you do that, you may see a couple air bubbles pop up out of those holes inside there, and air bubbles float up through the juice. That tells you that you're getting some juice in there. It's wicking well. So when I did finally fire it up, I was pleasantly surprised. No gurgling, no spitting at me. I didn't get any juice in my mouth. I guess cardos have come a long ways since I started vaping, or maybe I just wasn't doing it right 10 months ago. So how long does the tank last after a refill? It's going to be dependent on how much you vape, the vapor themselves, maybe even the juice. It just really depends. For me, I fill it to the top in the morning before I go to work. I come back home, I still have some left. About 6 or 7 o'clock, I refill it again, and I'm good for the rest of the night. On the weekend, I have noticed, it's the first weekend I've had it, and the weekend I do notice I vape a little bit more because I do vape more when I'm home. And I've had to fill it twice a day. But that's not that bad. So, as far as the cardo, I've been using the same cardo in this tank for 6 days now. So that's anywhere from, 30 to 40 mils of juice gone through this. So, that's pretty good. And, there is a slight reduction in taste, but not a really noticeable one. I have heard that you can get about 2 weeks of use out of a cardo. And so that's going to, at least on the tank. So that's going to be kind of my test, is if I can get a full 2 weeks of usage out of a cardo, then I'll be happy, and that'll really be my test. After 6 days of use, I also have not had any leakage, which I know is an issue that people have had with these, not necessarily with these, but tanks in general. This has, the way that this is made, the 2 end caps. Now, this can be pretty much put on either way you want. There's no top or bottom to it, but both of the caps in here are Delrin, and they have a O-ring that goes between the Delrin and the outside plastic tube, and also an O-ring on the inside that goes between the Delrin and the cardo. So I think the dual O-rings really help it, prevent leakage. So, as far as leakage goes, myth busted. I haven't had an issue. So now for the negatives, there's not really many. First of all, if you don't like a huge tank sitting on top of your mod, don't buy this, because guess what? It's a huge tank sitting on top of your mod. You might get a few more odd looks than with just a standard mod, but that doesn't bother me at all, strictly because it just gives me more opportunities to talk to people about vaping. Another issue that I personally have, it's not related to the tank, I guess, so much as the Provari. Provari will not allow me to vape at more than 4 volts with this setup. Basically because it recognizes that the cardo is a 1.5 ohm, and the safety settings on the Provari prevent it from going higher than 5 volts, or higher than 4 volts, sorry, on a 1.5 ohm Addy or cardo. I would like to try it at a higher voltage, and I probably will. I've got some box mods that I've made that I'm going to throw this on. I haven't yet, but I'm sure that I will. The only other thing I've noticed is that even though I thought I was getting amazing flavor out of this and was not disappointed at all, and trust me, you won't be either. But I tried my wife's Triple V with some dripping addy at 5 volts with a 3 ohm dripping addy from Smart Vapes, and I did notice that it had a fuller flavor than what I was getting out of this. It wasn't such a huge difference that I even noticed that I wasn't getting the flavor from this until I tried her addy. If I would have never tried it, I wouldn't know the difference. But there is a difference, once you go back and forth. As far as anything else, last thing is when I do have an episode of chain vaping, say, I've been in meetings for 6 hours straight, haven't had a chance to vape, stressful meetings, different things like that, run back to my office, and, you have those days where you just you hit it 7 or 8 good times in a row for some huge clouds of vapor. I'll notice that I will get a reduction in that vapor, but the easiest way to fix that is if you notice that, you just do a couple drags on it like that without hitting it, and then no issues at all. I think it works flawlessly. It does exactly what I needed it to do. I can use this all day long without ever having to drip in it. And down the road, I still want to purchase a feeder mod, just because I want to try everything out there. I have my eyes on either D-Cup or a Rio. I'm not really sure which way I'm going to go, but basically this is doing the job until my wife allows me, to get another mod. That's all I've got for you. Comments, questions, post them down in the description, and we'll see you later. Remember, vaping's a way of life.